Ready to unlock your inner financial guru. We are diving deep into I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi.
Oh, I love that book.
It's a classic for a reason.
It is.
It helps you build wealth on your own terms,
Yeah.
which is what this whole deep dive is all about.
Exactly.
So have you read it recently?
I have. Yeah, I go back to this book a lot, actually. It's
Yeah.
one that I find myself recommending a lot, too.
Yeah, and he's got such a fun style.
He does.
Like, it doesn't feel like you're reading a boring financial book.
No, not at all.
So tell me, like, what is it about his approach that makes it so effective, you think?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that he cuts through all the noise and gives you a practical roadmap.
Okay.
It's not about getting rich quick, which is what we hear so often.
Right, yeah, all those schemes.
Exactly. It's about building a sustainable, rich life on your terms, which I love.
I love that he emphasizes that you don't need to be a Wall Street wizard to make this work.
Right.
Like, you don't need to have this super high financial IQ.
Exactly. You don't need to be like Warren Buffett to be good at managing your money.
Right, exactly.
He calls it the 85% solution.
Okay, love that.
Think of it this way. You don't need to be a master chef to cook delicious meals at home.
True.
Knowing the basics and using the right tools is often enough to create something amazing, right?
Yes.
Similarly, mastering the fundamentals of personal finance, things like automating your savings, understanding basic investment strategies, that's already putting you ahead of the curve.
Okay, that
Yeah.
takes the pressure off. So it sounds like it's more about smart choices and consistency than some secret formula.
Exactly.
Okay.
And one of those smart choices that he emphasizes is starting early.
Okay.
Sethi's a big believer in harnessing the magic of compound interest. Have you heard about this?
Oh, yeah. Compound interest, it's a game changer.
It is.
But I think a lot of people, they hear compound interest and they think, oh, that's so boring.
Right.
It's like, why is that so important? Explain it like I'm 5.
It's like a financial snowball effect.
Yeah.
Basically, the earlier you start investing, even small amounts, the more time you have for your money to grow, and then that growth earns even more growth, and it just keeps building on itself over time.
Makes sense. But can you give me like a real world example of what difference starting early actually makes?
Let's say you and your friend are both the same age, maybe 25, and you both want to retire with $1 million.
Okay, yeah.
You start investing $5,000 a year at age 25. Your friend waits until they're 35. Assuming a 7% average annual return, you'll hit that $1 million mark around age 60. Your friend will be playing catch-up, probably having to work longer to reach the same goal, even if they invest more aggressively later on.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, point taken, starting early is a serious game changer.
absolutely. And the great news is, even if you don't have a ton of cash to invest right now, starting with whatever you can afford can make a huge difference in the long run.
But let's be real, we all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to money, right?
Of course, yeah.
Like, I've definitely made my fair share.
Me too.
Does Sethi address that in the book?
He does. And that's actually what makes his approach so refreshing. You know, he doesn't sugarcoat it. He even shares his own financial blunders in the book. Remember that time he invested in his friend's restaurant?
Oh, yeah. That didn't go so well.
Not at all. He lost money, but he learned a valuable lesson from it.
Okay.
Even smart people make mistakes.
Right.
The key is to view those mistakes as learning opportunities.
Yeah.
Adjust your strategy and keep moving forward.
I love that.
You don't have to be perfect.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
So we don't need a PhD in finance.
Right.
Starting early is key, even if we're not starting with a ton of cash.
Right.
What other, like, common money myths does Sethi debunk?
One of the first things he tackles is this idea that building wealth means living a life of deprivation.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like, you have to sacrifice every joy to save every penny.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That whole skip your daily latte and you'll retire a millionaire thing.
Right. It's like personal finance folklore.
Exactly. He calls this the latte factor fallacy.
Okay.
He argues that while cutting back on small indulgences might save you a few bucks here and there,
Yeah.
it misses the bigger picture.
Okay.
What's more impactful is focusing on your big wins, as he calls them.
Big wins. What are those?
This is where he brings in the 80-20 principle.
Okay.
Basically the idea that 80% of our results come from 20% of our efforts.
Okay. Love that.
So in terms of your finances, it's about finding those key areas where you can make the most impact.
Okay.
Often this means identifying those big expenses like your rent, your transportation costs, travel maybe, and seeing where you can optimize without feeling deprived.
So it's not about being a penny pincher, it's about being more strategic and intentional with your spending.
Exactly. He calls it conscious spending. It's about aligning your spending with what you truly value. Do you love to travel? Great. Invest in amazing trips. Hate cooking? Cool. Outsource it. The point is to spend generously on what you love and cut ruthlessly on what you don't.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together. It's about making your money work for the life you want to live, not the other way around.
Exactly. And to really illustrate this point, Sethi often talks about his own book buying rule.
Oh, yeah. He's said that he'll buy any book, no matter how expensive.
Right.
Which seems kind of counterintuitive coming from a personal finance guru.
Right, but it perfectly illustrates conscious spending in action.
Right.
He's incredibly passionate about reading and personal development, so he invests heavily in that area of his life, even if it means spending, hundreds of dollars on a single book.
Oh, okay.
But I'm willing to bet he's incredibly frugal in other areas of his life.
That's a great example. Okay, so we've tackled debunking those common money myths.
Yeah.
And we've talked about conscious spending.
Yeah.
Now let's dive into a topic I think a lot of people have, like strong feelings about credit cards. Are they a friend or foe on this journey to building a rich life?
This is where it gets interesting, right?
Okay.
Like those scary stories that we hear about credit cards and credit card debt spirals?
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
It feels like we're conditioned to think of credit cards as like the villain in our financial journey.
Right. But Sethi kind of flips the script on that.
Okay.
He argues that they can actually be really powerful wealth-building tools,
Good.
but only if you use them strategically.
Strategically being like the key word there.
Right.
Because, yeah, I think a lot of us, myself included, are like scared of falling into that debt trap.
Right, and that's where his 6 commandments of credit cards come in.
Okay.
Have you heard of
The
these?
6 commandments. No, this is new to me.
Okay, so these are basically like his ground rules for using credit responsibly.
Okay, lay it on me. What's commandment number 1?
So the most important commandment, the one that he emphasizes above all else, is this. Pay off your credit card balance in full and on time every single month.
Really? Every single month?
Every single month. No exceptions.
Okay.
This is like the golden rule, according to Sethi.
So it's all about discipline and avoiding those sky-high interest charges, right?
Exactly, because those can really snowball into a problem.
Right.
And he does not sugarcoat it. He really emphasizes the importance of not carrying a balance because those interest charges can eat away at your money, and it's like running on a treadmill.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right.
You're working so hard, but you're not actually getting anywhere.
Exactly.
Okay, so commandment number 1, pay it off in full every single month. Got it.
Yes.
What else is on the list?
Well, he also talks about negotiating lower APRs on your cards, being mindful of your credit utilization rate,
Okay.
and choosing cards that offer perks and rewards that actually align with your spending habits.
So like if I travel a lot, I should prioritize a card that gives me travel miles. And if I'm like a homebody and I love to cook, maybe I go for a card with like, cash back on groceries.
It's about making those cards work for you, not the other way around.
This is making so much sense.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think about credit cards in a whole new light.
Right.
It's like they're not the enemy. They're just a tool that you need to know how to use wisely.
Precisely. And having a good credit score, which you can build by using your credit cards responsibly, unlocks things like better interest rates on loans, which can save you a ton of money in the long run.
Okay, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Credit cards, when used strategically, can be like a powerful ally on the road to financial freedom.
I love that.
So we've debunked the myths.
Yeah.
We've mastered conscious spending.
We're using our credit cards wisely.
We're using our credit cards wisely.
Yes.
What's next on Sethi's roadmap to riches?
Yeah, we get to the fun part. Investing.
Now we get to the fun part, investing. Sethi has a unique approach that he calls the ladder of personal finance. It's a step-by-step system that guides you through the world of investing. It feels manageable and even, dare I say, exciting.
It is a really great way to break down what can feel like a really overwhelming topic,
A ladder. I love that visual. So you're telling me there's a clear path, rung by rung, we can follow to reach our financial goals.
Exactly. It's not about climbing Mount Everest all at once. It's about taking it one step at a time. You build a solid foundation before moving on to the next level.
Okay, I'm ready to start climbing. What's the first rung on this ladder?
Rung 1 is all about maximizing your employer's 401k match. If your company offers a matching program, Sethi says you absolutely need to take full advantage of it.
It's free money. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. It's a no-brainer. Once you've maxed out that match, you've conquered rung 1. Now you're ready to move on to rung 2.
What's next?
Tackling any high-interest debt.
That makes sense. You don't want to be earning, say, 5% on your investments while simultaneously getting charged 18% interest on credit card debt.
Precisely. He stresses paying off that high-interest debt as early in the process as possible. It's like clearing the roadblocks before you start your road trip.
Okay, so we've climbed the first two rungs, maximizing the 401k match and ditching that high-interest debt. What's next?
Rung 3 is where Sethi introduces Roth IRAs.
Roth IRAs. Okay. Can you refresh my memory on those?
Yeah, they're retirement accounts that offer some fantastic tax advantages, especially for younger investors.
Tax advantages, you have my attention. How do Roth IRAs work?
With a Roth IRA, you contribute money you've already paid taxes on, but here's the kicker. Your money grows tax-free, and you don't pay any taxes on withdrawals in retirement.
Wait, so I'm not paying taxes on those sweet, sweet investment gains in retirement.
You got it. That's why Sethi advocates for Roth IRAs, especially if you anticipate being in a higher tax bracket later in your career.
Okay, so we're maximizing that 401k match, kicking high-interest debt to the curb, and investing in a Roth IRA. 3 rungs down, 3 to go.
You got it. Rung 4 takes us back to our 401k. Sethi suggests contributing as much as you can to this account, even beyond the employer match.
Okay, so even though we've maxed out that sweet employer match, keep pouring money into that 401k. What about rung 5?
Rung 5 focuses on something called a health savings account, or HSA.
An HSA, that's for healthcare costs, right?
You're right, the primary purpose is to save for medical expenses. However, Sethi highlights that HSAs can also be a powerful investment tool, especially if you have a high-deductible health plan.
Oh, I've never thought of HSAs as an investment vehicle. That's a good reminder that sometimes the best financial tools are hiding in plain sight.
Exactly. And finally, we reach the top rung of the ladder, rung 6.
Drumroll, please. What's the grand finale?
Rung 6 is where you open a taxable investment account. This is where you can invest money not earmarked for retirement.
So this is where things open up a bit and we can explore different investment options beyond retirement accounts.
Exactly. You've climbed to the top of the ladder and unlocked a whole new level of financial freedom. Now, with a solid foundation in place, we can start talking about the specifics of investing, like how to build a diversified portfolio that aligns with your risk tolerance and financial goals.
Okay, let's do it. Break it down for me. What does it mean to build a diversified portfolio? I always imagine it's like a smoothie, but instead of fruits, you're blending different investments together.
You're on the right track. Diversification is like creating a financial safety net, right? It's about not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Which would be pretty risky.
Right. So instead of investing all your money in, say, a single company's stock, you spread your investments across different asset classes, stocks, bonds, real estate. That way, if one investment takes a hit, your entire portfolio doesn't crumble.
That makes a lot of sense. But how do we know which investments to choose and how much to put in each one? This is where I start to feel overwhelmed.
I hear you. It can feel like a lot. That's where asset allocation comes in. It's the strategy of dividing your investments among those different asset classes based on your risk tolerance, time horizon, and financial goals.
So if I'm younger and I have more time to recover from potential losses, I might choose a more aggressive asset allocation with a higher percentage in stocks.
Exactly. While someone closer to retirement might opt for a more conservative approach with a larger portion in bonds, it really depends on your individual circumstances and goals.
This is all starting to click now, but there are still so many investment options out there. How do we even begin to choose?
Well, Sethi keeps it refreshingly simple. He's a big fan of target date funds.
We talked about those earlier, right?
Yeah.
Those are the ones where you pick a fund with a target date that aligns with your planned retirement year.
You got it. They handle all the asset allocation and diversification for you, automatically adjusting the portfolio over time, shifting towards a more conservative mix as you get closer to retirement. It's like having a personal financial advisor built right into your investment.
That sounds almost too good to be true. But what about those who want more control over their investments? Are things like index funds or dollar cost averaging still good strategies?
Absolutely. Sethi acknowledges that there are pros and cons to each approach. Target date funds offer simplicity, but might not be the most tax efficient for every investor. He dives into all of those nuances in the book.
And what about dollar cost averaging versus investing in one lump sum?
He talks about research from Vanguard that found that while dollar cost averaging can be a good strategy to manage risk, lump sum investing, if you have the cash available, actually often outperforms in the long run.
This is incredibly helpful. So it's not just about stashing money away, it's about having a strategy and understanding the different tools at our disposal.
Exactly. And remember, Sethi emphasizes that this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like I'm getting the hang of this investing thing, but let's shift gears just a little bit here. We've talked a lot about the practical side of building wealth, but what about the emotional side? How do we align our financial goals with the life we want to live?
That's where it gets really interesting. Remember those invisible scripts we were talking about earlier? Those unconscious beliefs about money that we've absorbed from our families, society, even the media.
Oh, yeah, like money doesn't grow on trees or money is the root of all evil. We hear those all the time.
Exactly. And these scripts, even if we don't consciously believe them, can really shape our financial decisions and hold us back without us even realizing it.
Okay, so how do we break free from these invisible scripts?
Sethi suggests starting by paying attention to your gut reactions to money, like what makes you feel anxious or guilty.
Okay.
For example, let's say you find yourself constantly avoiding looking at your bank statements.
Oh, yeah, guilty.
Right. That could be a sign of an underlying script about money being scary, or maybe feeling undeserving of financial abundance.
Wow, that's powerful. It's like we need to become more aware of our money mindset.
Exactly. It's about questioning those deeply held beliefs and asking yourself, are these beliefs serving me well? Are they helping me create the life I want? If not, it might be time to rewrite the script.
Okay, that's a powerful image. Rewriting the script to align with the rich life we want to create.
Exactly. That's the core of Sethi's message. It's not just about accumulating wealth. It's about what that wealth allows you to do. It's about having the freedom to live life on your terms, to pursue your passions, to spend time with loved ones, to give back to your community, whatever a rich life means to you.
I love that. So it's about aligning your finances with the kind of life you want to live. It's about empowerment, not deprivation.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that you have the power to shape your financial future. You're not a passenger on this journey. You're the driver.
I love that analogy. So as we wrap up this deep dive into I Will Teach You to Be Rich, what's the one key takeaway you hope listeners walk away with today?
That financial freedom is within reach. No matter where you are on your journey, you can create a life of true wealth and abundance.
Beautifully said. And I think that's a perfect note to end on. To our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into I Will Teach You to Be Rich. We hope you've gleaned some valuable insights from Ramit Sethi's wisdom. Remember, building wealth isn't about deprivation. It's about empowerment. It's about aligning your finances with your values, your passions, and your aspirations. So go forth and design your own rich life. We'll be cheering you on every step of the way. Until next time, happy investing.